So my name is Kenya Alexander. I am a bookkeeper and an enrolled agent. So my passion is really helping people answering questions about bookkeeping when you're starting your business and supporting you through growing your business, right? My business has been open for about a year. Before that, I was a corporate accountant. So I was in the corporate world. So I'm where y'all are at, right? Like I'm in the beginning of my business and just kind of flowing through. And I just think it's so crucial to have your accounting down pat from the beginning, because that's going to guide you forward. That's going to help you be able to project your numbers in the future. That's going to help you if you ever get audited in tax season or anything like that. So even if you're not going to be one of my clients at this point, just being a resource for people.
Mm-hmm. You know, I love that so much. I love that type of mentality and generosity of spirit because, like you, I am so, I'm all about the mission is encouraging women to follow their dreams, to start their businesses and build their businesses and then inspire more women. So like the playing field is full of men already. We want to.
Well, there's so many opportunities, right? Like if we have the opportunity to help someone, it's going to come back to you, right? And that's just really what I'm all about. Like there's so many people who've helped me on my journey. So I have to be able to give that back to people.
Same, dude. Same. Totally. Well, I'm thrilled to be able to connect with you. And I should also let people know that Kenya and I connected through the Hey Mama Collective Network. And we really clicked, we talked, we clicked, and now we're supporting each other. So I'm excited to pick your brain a little bit. So I want to ask first, what can you speak to about choosing your entity?
Oh, yes. Typically, everyone starts off with just a sole proprietorship. Like that's typical, right? Yeah. So as you grow your business, that's when you want to look at like things like, I always file an LLC, regardless of how you're going to file your taxes. File an LLC so you have that separation of your individual assets and your business assets. And I not all states do LLCs, but most do. But from there, as you grow your business, you're going to want to start filing your taxes as a corporation rather than on your personal taxes. Right. But that's something you want to talk about. You don't want to do it at the beginning. No. There's lots of rules for it when you're doing it. So you can't just kind of have to have a plan. You can't just go out on a whim and decide, I'm going to do this now. Yeah. So you want to for sure make sure you talk to someone about what the best options are for you. But for sure, from the beginning, start an LLC. Start an LLC, have a separate bank account for your business and your individual. But yeah, that's the basis of it.
Okay. So for someone who's super small, just starting out, go ahead and file as a sole proprietor, get things rolling, because you can still open a business account as a sole proprietor. Yeah,
you sure can. You sure can. And that's the most crucial thing is separating your personal money from your business money. Right. That's going to be a very crucial point because you see so many new business owners are just, so much of your money is the business money, right? So, but having that step to say like, okay, this is in my business account. I'm going to put it there first.
Yeah. And I do feel like once you get organized with it, it's a lot at first. You're thinking like, how can I manage all this? It's just cleaner, simpler, easier, keep them separate. And you don't have any murky gray areas.
Exactly. Exactly.
Understood. Okay. So we file our entity, right? And now let's talk about some other basics that small business owners really, they have to deal with it straight away, but how do you read it? Like your P&L and your balance sheet. What are those? How do we use those? What are those for?
So I have everyone. So your balance sheet is the life of your business. It kind of, you add to it, right? Your balance sheet is always going to be from the start of your business to the end of your business. Okay. And it'll show where your assets are, where it's more like a long-term view of what your business is.
Okay.
Whereas your P&L statement, you want to look at that every month because it's going to show you, hey, where am I spending my money this month? How much money do I have coming in? You want to compare that over time, right? So with my clients, I typically have a meeting every month. It's their option if they want to go over specifically the P&L statement, because if there's anything funky, like, hey, last month you spent $900 on advertising, and this month you spent 9,000. What's going on? Are we going to see this return coming in the future? Like, what is it that you're spending, and is that actually getting you a gain on your money?
Right.
So in that P&L, that's something you just want to really make sure that you stay on top of, and you have a reason for why it looks that way. You can understand why, hey, this month I am in the negative, but I know I'm in the negative because I have this projected for the next 3 months.
Got it. Okay. And when you work with your clients, do you talk about projections? Do you kind of want to find out what looks ahead for them?
Yeah, I want to know. So my job is not just organizing you, it's helping you get to where you want to go. So I want to know, hey, where is it that you see your business going? And so I can look at that story of your numbers and say, well, if you want to go here, this ain't it. So if you aren't spending money on advertising, for example, you're trying to keep your costs low. Okay, you're not spending money on it, but what are you doing? Is this something that you do need to spend money on?
Yeah.
Things like that. But yes, I want to understand where you want your business to go so that I can help guide that. I can help you with monthly budgets. I can help you with projections based on your spending.
Okay, that's great. And the other thing, so here's something that's true is bookkeeping costs are a factor. Bookkeeping costs are a major expense and they're important. They're absolutely important. But for someone who's just starting out, what are some tools and what are some ways that they can start to delve into the bookkeeping process on a smaller level?
Yeah. So even if you're not, all of my clients, I use QuickBooks, right? But even if you're just using Excel, it's actually going in and putting those numbers into some organized fashion. And also making sure this is the one thing I would say every business owner should do is your bank reconciliation on a monthly basis, because you want to know if you're missing money, if something got lost in the sauce or whatever it is. You need to check and make sure the numbers that you have match the numbers that the bank have. And that's the one thing, if you don't do anything else, that's the one thing I would suggest that you do.
Okay, that's so good. See, we got to get the nuggets, the things that for the beginner.
So much stuff can just fall through the cracks, right? You could be thinking you got a payment from a client, but it actually didn't go through in your bank. So you want to catch those before it's too late, before you happen to come back to the client a year later, like, hey, I never got that money, right?
Yeah. And now I know that QuickBooks has, you can sync your accounts. You can link up your accounts to it. So you can actually do your reconciliations right there through QuickBooks.
In there. And it's super user-friendly. It's not hard to do.
Right.
If anyone ever has questions about that or needing help with that, I'm a resource. I'm happy to help show you how to walk through that.
And so do you offer a service where maybe you can, for small business owners that are tight budget, do you recommend doing like a quarterly?
Yeah, if you can do a quarterly, I suggest that. I know what we call them in the bookkeeping world is micro clients that are smaller. They have it. They want to make sure that their business are organized, but they're not big enough to warrant pay something monthly. So we check in with them quarterly. We have a meeting quarterly just to go over that, make sure they're paying their estimated taxes and they have an idea of what that is and everything.
Okay, great. And if you're keeping good track of your books and everything's ready to go, do you still advise having an accountant as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, your accountant is going to really help you. And I also suggest if you have an accountant, meeting with your accountant at least quarterly, right? Because there are tax strategies that you can use throughout the year that will help you when tax season comes along. And if your accountant is not giving you those strategies, you might want to look for a new accountant. Right.
Right. For sure.
But yeah, absolutely. You need to have an accountant because that's really going to help you in understanding where your business is at come tax season specifically.
Mm-hmm. So the difference between a bookkeeper and an accountant, what's the main differences?
Think of it as like a nurse and a doctor, right?
Okay.
A nurse is there for all the little things, right? So we are the day-to-day, the digging into the actual work. But when you have to have major surgery, you don't want me to do that, right? You want the doctor to be there to help with that major surgery. I am more of a support person. So on your day-to-day basis, if on your month-to-month basis, like on a smaller scale of your organization, that's where I'm at.
Got it. And wouldn't you also say that the bookkeeper and the accountant should
work together?
Have a
they should. There's going to be a lot of communication, especially come tax season, right? So you want to have a bookkeeper who is willing to work with your accountant, and an accountant who's willing to work with your bookkeeper.
Right. Exactly. Okay. This is all really helpful, by the way, and I thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about COGS, cost of goods sold, because in terms of when you're looking at your expense sheet and, that's your COGS are what we call above the line expenses versus below the line. So if you could speak to that a little bit.
So your COGS is basically the money you put in, you're getting back. That's why it's above the line, right? So anything that so for example, for me, I pay for some of my clients' QuickBooks subscriptions, right? That's a cost for me because it's something that I have to pay for to do business, right? Or if you're like a fashion designer, it's like the materials that you use and everything like that. So your COGS is basically a reimbursement to yourself. You have to do this to do business, so you're reimbursing yourself.
You can't do your business without those things.
Exactly. It's not like software or anything like that where it just enhances your business. This is what you need to do business.
Right. Okay. That's great. Do you have some kind of like percentage system of if your net profit is X percentage, X amount from your gross sales? Like, are there markers that show that your business is moving in the right direction, that it's healthy, that?
It really depends on the industry, right? It changes based on the industry that you're in. I know service-based industries will have a higher potential to have net profits because they don't have to keep products and everything like that. But there's no set amount or set percentage that shows that, honestly.
Okay. So let's say you're just because you kind of want to try to figure out, well, is what I call my business successful? Am I moving in the right direction? Like, is this healthy? So let's say, just for a flat number, if somebody grosses $100,000, for the year, and then expense, you get to the bottom line and you get to keep 30,000 of that 100.
That's great. You're in the green,
great, right?
You want to be in the green. Stay in the green is what I say. In the beginning, you're oftentimes you are going to be in the red because that's your initial investment, right? So I say just try your best to keep track of your expenses, right? That's the thing. And so something I do every month is I go through, like, what are my subscriptions? Sometimes we have so much stuff that we're paying for that's so unnecessary. Like, where can I cut back? Each month I go through and say, did I actually use this? Like, or if I'm part of some networking groups, is this networking group am I getting any return on my investment? And it's not always just monetary return, right? Like, so even if you're not making money from that investment, but you're expanding your business IQ,
Yeah.
in that business, that counts as well. But going through every month to make sure that you're spending money only where you're getting a return on that money spent is very important. And that's how you're going to stay in the green.
Right, right. Yeah, that's a really good point. I think right now I'm doing a financial audit on my business to kind of go through all my whole expense list and say, like, where can I be spending less?
Yeah.
And I think there's sometimes the struggle of like certain things, it might be a little more expensive, but you're solid with what you're getting back from what you're getting. And if you cheap out a little more, it's going to cause problems in another way.
Exactly. So you want to spend money, you have to spend money to make money, right? You have to spend some sort of money, but you have to be able to justify what you're spending it on. So I think it's very important too to focus on what it is that you want your business to look like. Because I know for one, I'm always like, I see Facebook ad like, well, that would make my life easier. And then I look back, I'm like, that has nothing to do with what my initial plan was. Something shiny. Yeah. What? No, wait, no. Focus on where you're at, right?
Yeah. Right.
I think that's that time to reflect. Like, was this an impulse buy or did I actually need this, right?
Yeah. And it's easy to get distracted by what we see and how it looks as other people are operating their businesses. They come across as uber successful doing this.
I think something that gets me all the time is like, when you see those, like, Facebook targets your business, right? Like whatever business you're in, they're like, hey, this is how you can get successful. Right? But have a plan and just stick to that plan. Something that I kind of adopted, this has nothing to do with bookkeeping, is it's the 5 1s. Okay, so it's called the 5 1s. Okay. So you choose one product to offer.
Okay.
You choose one target market.
Okay.
You choose one conversion tool, one traffic source, and you focus on that for 1 year. You focus on that for 1 year and just hyper focus on what this is. And from then that will build the foundation of your business, right? And then as you build that foundation, you can expand and offer other products and other services. But if you focus on those things, you make sure that you don't get distracted by the shiny objects, right?
I'm so glad I pressed you to what it was, because that was so helpful. And I
think last year, like my business ideas changed so much. So going into 2022, like that's where I'm hyper focused on. What is it that I want my business to look like? How can I build on my business?
Well, I love that. And, I always maintain that at least for the first 5 years, you want to focus on slow, steady growth in your business.
Absolutely.
Don't feel like if you're not growing fast enough, you're not getting big enough, you don't want to be scaling anything in the first 5 years, because that's when you're creating your infrastructure for your business. And you want to have your solid accounting systems. You want to have, at least however big your team may get, you want to at least have a couple people in place that you trust, that support you, and you want to test the market with what you're growing with. So
I always think I watch Shark Tank all the time. There are businesses that go on there that are about to go out of business because they're growing too fast. Right. So you get to control, you want to make sure that you control your growth.
Exactly. I mean, honestly, like 20 to 25% growth every year is amazing growth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's really good. It's great to have money conversations and have financial conversations and feel comfortable talking about zeros and percentages and budgeting. And I think it has a really heavy,
absolutely.
But like, let's get it out a little bit. Let's have a little party with this, because
you have to talk about it, especially like if you're wanting to get advice and you're wanting to know how to grow your business, well, where are you at right now? We have to know where you're at in order to know where you want to go. Right. And there's so much, I think sometimes like we don't want to look at our own numbers, right? Like, but you have to, so you can see that growth. In the beginning, yes, you're going to be negative. You're going to have to put that investment in, but it's nice to see that growth when you first go from a negative month to that positive month. That's a big deal.
It is.
You should celebrate that, right? You should really celebrate that.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I think the best thing you can do is show up every day and poke around. Just take a look at your accounts every day. Even if you spend 10 minutes, look at your accounts, look at your budgeting, look at, just write down 2 things that you're gonna check out every day and just make sure those numbers. And once you get used to it, then it's not scary. Then there's no surprises.
Yeah. And I again, checking that every day is important. There's so many times that I'm like, oh, I forgot that was on auto pay. I forgot to subscribe to that. I was supposed to cancel that and I didn't cancel my free trial. Right. So checking that every day is gonna save you money and save you mental capacity when you look back and you're like, okay, I do have time to still cancel it and they'll refund me. Right. So like that.
Right. And you know what, if you see a charge and you see something where you're like, damn it, I forgot it. Take an extra minute, call that company and say, and tell them whatever you need to tell them, talk it through, but get them to refund you.
And 2, I just say, if you don't ask, the answer is always no. Right. So if you the worst thing that they can say is no, right? But if you don't ask, it's going to automatically be a no.
Yes.
Most companies want their customers to be happy, right? They want to have a good relationship. Even if you're leaving, they want you to leave with a good feeling about their company.
Yes.
So they're going to help you out.
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay. Is there anything else that you would want to, like if you're giving someone advice, they're starting out, they're setting it up, what are a couple of just key things that you would say in the setup phase?
Keep track of your receipts. There are so many receipt tracking apps that are free. Some are paid. Keep track of your receipts.
Recommend a couple?
Dext is what I use personally. Dext, or it's called Dext or Receipt Bank. But also in QBO, you can upload your receipts there too, and that's included with most subscriptions.
And is that through an app even, like we were out and about? And
and you can just take a picture of it. I know QuickBooks has where you can just email it if you just want to take a picture on your phone and you don't want the app. So does Dex. Dex is kind of expensive, but it is worth it, because I will say that a lot of people think if they have their credit card statements or bank statements and they go through an audit, that will be enough. It's not enough. You have to show those receipts and show exactly what it's for. Just as soon as you buy something for your business, take a picture of it, right? Just immediately. Make it a habit where it's just instant for you to do that.
Now, what if, for example, for like my business, I do a lot of my purchasing through Amazon, and I have how do you
take a screenshot of your on your phone or on the screen, that you just want to have something that details what that purchase was.
Okay.
Right. And so I know that for my clients, what I'm really focused on is helping people create audit ready books, right? Because you don't want to have to go and try to recreate everything. Mind you, it's not likely that you're going to get audited, right? It's not that likely, but it could be you, right? If you are, you want to be ready, especially the IRS is supposed to start increasing audits going into this next year. So that's something that I'm really, and also it just helps with your organization. If you ever have a question about what you spent, you know where to go and find that. So tracking your receipts and monthly reconciliations.
Okay, that's great. That's really, those are 2 really good takeaways. And please, Kenya, what's your website? How can people reach you?
My website is thebestkept.book.com. The best kept book. So we keep the best books. Over here. And so if you have any questions or if there's anything I can answer for you or help you get started, please feel free to email me at kenya@thebestkeptbook.com. Or you can also schedule a free consultation on my website. I'm happy to just sit and talk and answer any questions that anyone has. I honestly just would like, especially women-owned businesses, I really want us all to be successful. There's so much money in the world and there's so many ways to make it. So however I can help you make sure that you're successful, please let me be that resource for you.
Kenya, I adore you and I'm so grateful we connected. And I can't wait to throw business your way. And
I'm excited. I've already had a couple of clients from you and they have been great, honestly. Yes. They have been great. And also, just to kind of retract to how we met from that Hey Mama group, if you are not a part of that, I strongly encourage you to find groups like that. I've had now 3 people that I've connected with, 2 of who've become clients, and you have been a referral source for me. So it's so important to build your community. That Hey Mama community is really valuable. It's from women from so many walks of life and who are doing so much, not even just in business, but in the corporate world. So it's nice to have that resource of people who you can relate to.
Yeah. I've been, now that I really use it and go to it, I love it. I've met great people.
Yeah.
And I also want to say, if you have any women that are crossing your path who are just in the beginning stages of their business, the shit you really need to know, which is the courses I teach, are all the real fundamentals of marketing, leadership, finance, systems, and your core values, like really just getting you set up so that you fly out.
Yeah. And we'll connect more. I'm so grateful for you. I really am so grateful. And thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
I'm excited. This is great information for women who need to know this. It's
absolutely.